As organizations continue to leverage generative AI, one critical question looms: how can we secure AI and data to ensure long-term success? Joining me today, my peers are Paul and Jordan. Welcome,
Daryush.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
While businesses understand the critical importance of security and privacy, our latest finding from the 7th annual Nutanix Enterprise Cloud Index reveal staggering 95% of organizations believe they could be doing more to secure their generative AI models and applications. So, gentlemen, just to get us started, cybersecurity is top of mind, and we're going to drill down. So to start with Jordan, in reference to the survey that we done recently, are there any findings in data governance, data security that we have to pay attention to?
Yeah, I think you started with the stat. 95% of organizations are concerned with the idea of privacy as it relates to Gen AI. And actually, there's good reason for that. Gartner have shown that 29% of organizations that have implemented Gen AI projects have actually had a data leak. So it's serious. A lot of people might say, well, hang on, I'm not running AI projects externally, I'm just doing it internally. But actually 64% of companies have exposed data internally as well through generative AI projects. So imagine you allow Gen AI access to all of your internal data, and all of a sudden Paul is able to ask questions about maybe my emails or my HR data or other things. So definitely privacy, security is a huge concern for people as it relates to Gen AI. And I suppose the question I've got for you is, how do people mitigate that risk?
Interesting one. And you know that I spent a fair bit of time in this space. Typically in cybersecurity, there's a tug of war between vulnerabilities and countermeasures. So let me explore a little bit more. Every infrastructure suffers from vulnerabilities, some known, some unknown. So the ones and unknowns are known as zero-day vulnerabilities. And the bad actors count on the fact that they can identify zero-day vulnerabilities. So comes the million-dollar question for the C-level that how many vulnerabilities does it exist in my infrastructure, and do I have to countermeasure against it? And now that we talk about AI, which means there are data lakes, there's so much information, and they got loaded into training those large language models, are we loading them or overloading the information they're supposed to have, not supposed to have? So data governance and data access comes in place. So Paul, you spent a fair bit of time in infrastructure. What are the responsibilities? What are the best practices that it applies to the Gen AI?
In infrastructure, we have this concept of RBAC, role-based access control. And we have a security measure. It's called least privilege access. Almost all CIOs know about this. Like when you grant access to a particular workload or asset or a virtual machine or whatever it might be, you assume the least privilege access. So basically you lock everybody out, and then you open up a port or you provide access to a VM only on an as-needed basis. But this idea of least privilege is super important to, zero trust security models. And when you apply that sort of thought, the leadership to data, that's sort of where I think we have to go, is looking at data as with a privilege like construct and a framework. Think of like federal government. They have top secret,
Classified,
like all these different levels, and any information is get tagged. Now, organizations don't really do that. We have a little bit like highly confidential, but nobody uses it. Like we have to get in a data leg, and throughout our organizations, we have to get to these classification models throughout all of our data. And then we have to build into LLMs the ability to interpret classifications. And then we have to build into the inferencing endpoints as a consumer of that LLM, what am I allowed to access?
I like the fact you're highlighting that not all data are equal. And what's the jewel of the crown? How are you protecting that? And zero trust is a model. I think it's a must-have and has to be embraced.